Welcome to Getting Sketchy Live, brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com. And now, let's get sketchy.
Hello there, everyone. Matt here with thevirtualinstructor.com, and welcome to Gettin Sketchy Live, the greatest live broadcast in all of YouTube. What we do here on Gettin Sketchy is either myself or Ashley. We try to create a drawing for you inside of 45 minutes. We have a timer and everything, and that's what's happening tonight. Ashley's doing the drawing tonight, and we're glad to be back this week because last week we had to take the week off because Ashley was out camping without power and
on the mountain.
Modern things that we're all used to. Is that right?
Yeah. It was all the luxuries on the mountain.
All the luxuries of having nothing. Yeah. Which, there's some philosophical things there. Maybe if you dive real deeply.
What I didn't have was a cell phone that worked.
Yep.
So I was forced to unplug, and it wasn't bad. So I might try to institute a little bit of that in my regular daily life, maybe a couple hours a week.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I had purposely, well, I don't know if I purposely, but I had forgotten my Facebook password for years. And then one day I asked my password keeper. I won't tell you who that is, but they told me how to log into Facebook again. And ever since then, I've been slowly looking at Facebook more and more, and just slowly getting more and more angry at people. So I don't think that social media is a great thing, but you guys have heard me say that over and over again. So we won't go into that tonight.
And we're on YouTube, and that's a little different. We don't call that. We don't consider that social media, even though we have chats and we get to talk. It's a little bit different.
Oh, it's a lot different. I don't consider. Well, people consider YouTube to be social media, but and there's some not so great things about YouTube, but we're not going to go into that tonight.
No.
We're going to go into drawing tonight.
That's right.
And before we get into this one, though, I want to tell you that Ashley's going to be working from a photo reference. And to find that photo reference, what you'll need to do is go to the YouTube channel. So you may be watching this video and not actually be on the YouTube channel. To get to the channel homepage, click on the little icon of my face in the lower left corner of your screen, and that will take you to the YouTube channel page. And then from there, you can click on the community tab. And the top post, if you're watching this live tonight, if you're watching the live version of this, we'll have the photo reference there and a link back to this video so you can pick up where you left off. Also, if you like this kind of video, make sure that you give this video a like. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. It's absolutely free to do that. And hopefully YouTube will send you stuff when we post new videos. Who knows? And if you want to take your drawing and painting skills to another level, then you need to go check out the membership program at thevirtualinstructor.com. Guys, it is unbelievable how much content is there ready for you to learn from. And our lessons are in depth, but they're simplified so that anyone can understand. We have a variety of drawing and painting courses on a variety of subject matter and media. We do weekly live lessons. After tonight's broadcast, I'm going to be starting a brand new series on Line and Wash that's exclusive for members. We also do weekly critiques as part of the Members Minute, where users will send in their artwork and I'll critique one piece of artwork each week. And there's also a year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers that includes absolutely everything you need to teach. All of that is included in the membership program, and everyone starts out with a week-long trial for free. We also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee after that, so we want to make sure everybody is completely happy. If you want to learn more about the program or check it out, there's a link in the description below. And if you want to just check out 3 of our course videos and ebooks, just to kind of see what course modules are like, there is a link for that in the description below. And that will also put you on our mailing list. And I'll send you a bunch of free art lessons as well over the coming weeks. So now that we've got that out of the way, it's time to get started. Are you ready to get started?
Yeah, I'm ready. We'll go ahead and switch over and start talking about our materials a little bit, see what we're going to work with and what we're going to draw.
I forgot one more thing. If you are watching this live, there's a chat box, and we encourage you to interact with the chat box. If you have a question or comment that's directed at Ashley or I, we'd love for you to use the super chat function there. That will put your comment up at the top, and it will feature it, and we'll address your comment or question there. You can also put your comment or question in capital letters. That'll help me see it a little bit easier since I'm manning the chat box tonight. Now I've said everything.
Got it all in.
Ready?
All right.
All right, let's switch over.
Let's do it. All right, so you can see our reference in the top left of your screen. It's a hawk, and we've drawn some birds of prey here before. I think a number of years ago, I think my first drawing on Gettin Sketchy may have been a vulture. I can't remember. It was,
I don't know.
It was pretty early, but anyway, in that first season. But this is a hawk, and it's in the file name. It was called a Harris hawk, so I'm going to trust that. I'm going to believe that. But I was kind of attracted to just the overall shape.
Now, Ashley, I'm sorry, it's not a Kamala Harris hawk, is it?
Oh no.
Okay, thank goodness.
A Harris hawk. Harris, hawk. First name hawk. And I was attracted to sort of the letter M shape. You know, it's one of those M birds like we see sometimes in Monet's artwork. But we're going to try to get a little bit more information in our hawk than Monet did in his impression of birds in his sky. So it's letter M bird. So this hawk has a really high contrast in terms of value, and so that should make our job a little bit easier. Where the light hits, there is quite a bit of detail. We'll see how much of that we are able to capture in the 45 minutes that we have to draw. I am going to start. Let's go ahead and take a look at some materials, and I'm going to use my kneaded erasers here, because we're working.
He's doing this because there's a slanted surface that we're working from, which now in retrospect, I'm kicking myself because it makes the graphite more shiny. Nothing stays on the table. It is more comfortable for us to draw.
Right. Once we start drawing, it's better.
Right. It is better in that regard.
So that's what, nothing's going to roll away. We're not using a ruler. It's not part of the materials. It's just holding my pencil right now. And I'm going to start with just a shape for our Harris hawk, and it is a HB pencil, so like a regular number 2 pencil. I'm going to be using conté crayon, and I'm going to use the sepia color, not sanguine, which is a little bit more orange. And I'm actually working with what I have left. So we've got some chips here, some small broken pieces. There's 1 stick in 3 parts of a conté crayon, and I will probably break out my pink eraser a little bit. And just in case we need to dig out and get back down to our paper, we'll also possibly use the electric eraser. Now, I do have a blending stump, and I plan to use that just to move the materials around. Conté crayon is a little bit greasy. It doesn't move around in the same way as pastel. It's a colored clay base with, I think, some graphite or some charcoal mixed in there. So it does spread, it does move, but not as it's not quite so as fugitive as pastel. So we'll use our stumps to help us with that a little bit. And I don't know if we'll use it. We may very well need it. I do have a white charcoal pencil that we might employ just a little bit in the head and a few other touches around the corners of the wing. So we'll see if this reappears within the 45-minute time frame that we're working with. So let's go ahead and get all these materials off of our paper before it gets too dirty and all the wrong places, and then we'll start making some marks.
And for those of you who don't know what conté is, you can kind of think of conté as being a relative of charcoal, and also pastels.
Yeah,
technically speaking, conté is either compressed graphite or compressed charcoal that's been pigmented, and also has a clay base. So it's very similar to compressed charcoal. It just has some pigment added to it.
It's been compared to like new pastels, but those are still feel drier and spread a little bit more. But those are compressed pastels, so there is a little bit of a
and those would still have a gum Arabic binder.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I don't know that these have a binder other than the clay itself.
I think some are made now with cellulose ether.
Whoa. I
did a little bit of research.
A chemist
just now
snuck into the studio.
Yeah. The binder, of course, everyone knows. The binder is cellulose ether. That's common knowledge.
Well, clearly I'm no expert tonight, so I'm just going to hang on and sketch, and we'll see where this goes. I've already marred my paper, so we're going to have to work that in and somehow make that spot work. And of course, we're focused on the bird. The image is, it's not great composition. It's a picture of a bird. It's pretty much in the middle. And our focal point would be the head, which is a little off center. according to a vertical axis, but the head really falls pretty much right across our horizontal axis. So we'll focus on the bird and then throw some values around it, hopefully to make the light parts pop and maybe the dark parts stand out against the, where the dark parts are right up against the edge of the outer contours. Are we ready? Any questions before we begin?
You're the one that needs to tell me if you're ready or not.
All right.
Yeah, there is a question. Which side of the paper are you using, the more or less textured side?
Oh, I almost wish you hadn't asked that, because my intention was to use the less textured side. And after I taped my paper down, I questioned whether or not I've got the correct side up for me. But
So Ashley does not know.
I believe this is the less texture side of Canson Mi-Teintes paper. And this color, when you can see compared to the masking tape, it's there's some red in there. I think it might be called sand. I consider it a light brown. Tan, perhaps?
Definitely looks like the color of sand.
Yeah,
At least
color.
our sand.
But against this tape, it almost looks pink on the screen.
It does,
But
yeah.
it looks a little bit more yellow in front of my eyes. Incidentally, I didn't bring my glasses tonight, so there may be a nice soft Renoir feel to this one. We'll see.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so you
I guess
ready?
It's time. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring
All
up
right.
the timer.
Start the
and we'll
timer
start with our
right
pencil.
now. 45 minutes
All
on
right.
the clock.
Here we go. And like I mentioned before, the bird is pretty much in the middle, but I will look at the edges of our picture plane just to help get started with our general shape. And incidentally, my paper is 6 inches in height and 8.5 inches wide. So if anybody was wondering or is trimming a piece of paper right now. All right, now to start, I'm just going to think about this wing on our left as being pretty solid.
So you are looking at the outer contour and connecting the dots between the
There you go.
fingers of the,
That's right.
the wing.
Yep,
there.
keeping it all connected right now because we're just looking for a broad shape.
So it's a simple shape to begin with. Let's see. I think it's Elsa is asking, any reason why you chose conté for this artwork?
I wanted to use a material that I hadn't used in a really long time, and conté is it. I was telling Matt before the show began that I think it's been about 25 years or so since I've made a drawing with conté crayon. So, and, similar to my last drawing, which was pastel, but I was using gray with only a touch of green. It's sort of a color medium, but when you're working with it, it doesn't really feel that way. You're still focused on the values. And the bird himself, not in our reference, but in real life, is relatively brown. And so it's close to the natural color of our subject.
Brent Does Art is a fan of conté. Says, finally, a conté drawing. I'm ready.
I thought about Brent when I decided to do conté.
Now,
he's going to love this. I know he's got the materials.
There is, Ashley and I try not to repeat subjects and media. And I realized a few minutes ago that I actually did a hawk with sepia tones in 2001 for a Gettin Sketchy episode.
Yeah, that's not that
I had to
long
research it to find out when it was. But in that episode, I used pastels, just used sepia toned pastels.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
it's not exactly conté.
All right, it's not exact.
Slightly different. And it was a completely different hawk in a completely different position on different paper. So
Okay.
I guess we can consider this not repeating, but someone has noticed that we have done a lot of animals this season.
That's true. Well, I did a cat. You did a dog. So we threw in.
And I've done a bird. I did that cardinal too.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness, we did. Animals are kind of a departure for me. So this is definitely animal heavy season for myself.
Animals are not a departure for me, as you probably know, but I promise I will not do an animal next week.
All right.
Unless y'all really want one.
Unless you all beg Matt in the chat to do
Please
an
do
animal.
another animal. I know that we've got at least one person out there that like to see a walrus, which I think would be cool. But
almost
Maybe we'll hold on to the walrus.
Yeah, I
and
did
its
look
tusks.
at some images of a hippopotamus. I was thinking about doing. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Not. It was a rhinoceros.
Oh yeah. It
was a great look.
Yeah, rhinoceroses are pretty cool.
Yeah. So
A wonderful texture.
you know, this is actually my last drawing of the season, but we may see a rhino in the next season.
Yeah, Jan says catching 2 birds with 1 season. I like that.
A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the Gettin Sketchy season.
Ryan Nebula says you should have an animal themed season. I think that's kind of happening.
It accidentally is happening. All right. So we've got really broad shapes right now. It almost just looked like a chewed up piece of bubble gum at first. You know, ignoring all of the complex contours around the edges. And we'll go ahead and find some of those and then jump into our media of choice this week. These are the primary feathers, Matt.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the primary feathers.
Yeah.
Yeah. We learned that when we talked about the cardinal.
Yeah, maybe that was it. Yeah.
And Brent Does Art says, Matt, I think one of you did a conté hawk or another bird type on Getting Sketchy. You're right. We just talked about that. It was in 2021. And I had forgot about it. But for some reason, it came in my mind like 20 minutes before we went live. So, yeah, there is. But it's a little different because I used sepia toned pastels on a completely different surface.
Oh, yeah.
And a completely different position, of course. This is a completely different drawing. Yeah. So.
Totally different. All right. Take some of those marks out, and I guess it might be advantageous to look for. Would these be the secondary feathers? I don't know.
You know, it's secondary feathers. It sound like those are the feathers that are at the end of the wing.
These
doesn't
down
it?
here.
Yeah.
Mm.
Or those could possibly be tertiary feathers. If I was naming the parts of a hawk, I would
be named after the color wheel.
No, they wouldn't. No. But the primary feathers, I would think, would be closer to where the wing connects to the body.
And
but
maybe they are, because we are not biologists.
There may not be any such thing as primary feathers, just to be honest with you.
All right, let's see here. Let's find where our might be worth sketching in where we think the contour of our shadows are. Making a little judgment there before we jump into the conté crayons. All right. And the tip of this wing, way out here on the right, if we follow straight across, it's a little bit below the head, so I feel pretty good about that. All right, and then of course, you know, we do have a little bit of background.
Are you going to include much of the background?
I'm not sure.
Wait and see?
I mean, it's pretty nondescript anyway. It's really just two fields of gray.
Mm-hmm.
I did modify this. This image was originally a Pixabay image, and I selected traced around the bird, and then separated it from the background, and then I think I darkened the background a little bit. Then I think I used the burn tool and darkened the top corners just a little bit more.
So Keith tells us or confirms with us that the primary feathers tend to be the big feathers. And Thomas says that's right, Keith. So we will defer to Keith and Thomas.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your expertise.
Who are clearly more expert on bird feathers than we are.
Now this bird is, he's got a little tether there around his leg. It's crazy how long hawks' legs really are. You don't really see them.
Okay, Jan has gone to Wikipedia and says the primary feathers are connected to the hand, in quotations, of the bird wing. secondaries to the forearm bones. So there you go.
I didn't know that we used words like hand and forearm with birds. So
Well, it's
I'm
hand
learning
in
all kinds of
quotation,
stuff.
so it's not.
Oh, okay.
A bird
Okay.
doesn't have a hand.
Yeah, got it. All right.
Poor bird.
Now we'll go ahead and start applying some of our conté crayon, and we can make adjustments to the drawing as we go, as I find the mistakes. But we're going to start in a really dark area where we can't really go too dark. And then my intention is to smudge and smear it around and really work the values with my erasers. Now, these tools aren't sharp, but they have edges around the round barrel of the tool, so they don't go to a point, but they have lots of edges.
I can confirm that you're working on the more textured side of the surface.
Yeah, I think you're right. Which is not my intention, so makes the episode extra sketchy.
Okay, here we go. Jan says the bird hand is called the manus in bird expert speech. Birds have essentially the same limb bones as we do.
Just different proportion, I guess.
Well, that means that there's a possibility I could fly. That's what I'm hearing there.
I believe you
get
can
enough
fly.
feathers on my hands.
I believe you can touch the sky.
I believe I can fly.
All right, there we are.
Who sang that song? I mean, that was everywhere in like the
I couldn't tell.
early 90s, I
Right,
guess.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you who that was.
So the medium itself does have some powder associated with it, but it's not as powdery as pastel.
Yeah, that's one of its advantages. It's not quite as messy, but messy nonetheless. We'll be blowing a little bit of clay dust tonight. All right. And I'm gonna look at my tools for a nice little edge. Make a couple of small marks in the mouth already. And oh, why not? Let's go ahead and put the eye in there.
You know, conté is really a great medium for sketchbooks because it's not quite as powdery and messy as charcoal.
Yeah, and you saw a lot of contour. I mean, when you look at old sketchbooks, like old master sketchbooks, you see a lot of conté crayon.
Right. It's inexpensive.
Right. It is very commonly used.
It allows you to get a little bit of color in there. Jan says Matt has neither primary, secondary, nor tertiary feathers, I feel. No, but I do have a bird brain.
It's all it takes to fly, man. All it takes. All right. Still working in our very darkest areas right now.
Or at least some have said I have a bird brain. You know, that's not true. Nobody said I've had a bird brain because birds are really smart, aren't they? Some birds are actually pretty smart, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Crows and ravens.
Yeah. Mary Elizabeth asks, is it like oil pastels? Not really. Oil pastels are definitely waxier and softer.
Slick. Yeah,
they're more like
these
crayons.
don't feel slick, but they are a little bit... They're dry, but they don't feel as dry as a regular pastel.
Right. There's somewhat of a stickiness associated with it. It's powdery, but still there's a stickiness. And I think that's the clay that's in there. Cheryl says it was R. Kelly that sang that song.
Oh, goodness.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I didn't mean to do that.
I'm not glad the answer is R. Kelly.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, folks.
Glad that you know the answer.
And R. Kelly was very popular.
Brent Does Art says Conté is great for use for colorblind folk like me. Easier to get the values right.
All right.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, and of course our reference is in grayscale, and there are areas that are absolutely black. And our sepia color is it's not going to be as black. So
And you have no black at all.
No.
So this is your darkest value.
yeah. So our range of value is a little bit reduced will be reduced in our finished piece in comparison to the reference.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mary Elizabeth. I have that song in my head too. She says she has that song in her head.
I know.
And Rockflower confirms that it was R. Kelly and that the song was actually in the movie Space Jam with Michael Jordan.
Oh yeah.
And goes on to say that's needless info.
Any way associated with Michael Jordan, it's okay with me.
Yeah, I can't believe that is R. Kelly that sings that song. That Luther Vandross was around that time. I was kind of thinking, but no, R. Kelly.
It's a blast from the past, these names you're throwing out.
I wonder what the R stands for. Yeah.
Richard. All right. These are our darkest darks.
Jan says Conté means crayons for non-children.
Yeah, that's right.
I like that. But,
Right. I like that.
Adults can use crayons too.
Mm-hmm.
Crayon, well, yeah.
Can use praying.
Some people
crayons.
call it Conté crayon.
Yeah, praying makes a great crayon.
You're a praying fan.
I am.
They're really good for crayon etching.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
The praying ones.
Yeah, they're very, very soft and waxy, and good for that kind of business.
The blending makes a really big difference in how that section reads.
Yeah, we will, because we don't have really, really dark value like charcoal to work with, or material like charcoal, we've got to get rid of those white speckles, definitely. Or, sorry, sand-colored speckles in some of these areas. And we can go back and lift a little bit of detail out of these flat shadows near the end of the program, and maybe we won't cover these up entirely. We'll just kind of tap them out a little bit. There is some detail in there.
Okay, so R. Kelly's first name is Robert.
Robert, okay.
You were close. And so from now on, I'm just going to call him Bob Kelly.
Yeah.
Dale has...
Sounds like you guys are buddies.
Yeah. What are you up to today, Bob Kelly? Dale has a joke here.
Okay.
Two birds sitting on a line. One bird says, tweet. The other says, oh, great. Now we'll have that song in my head all day long.
It's
pretty good one there, Dale.
All right. There's a lot of little value changes in this forward wing, but we really have three sections. Dark, a little bit lighter still. That's how we're going to treat it at first, and then we'll see what we can get back into there with. Oh, I know that this area, all the rest of this here is not bare, so I do want to kind of isolate what's going to be our very lightest values in the head early on.
So you're going to use some of the tone of the paper to help with some of the middle values?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the plan.
So if you were working on gray paper, that wouldn't really work too well for this particular subject with this particular medium. So the color of the paper is what I'm saying makes sense for the lighter values
for this
here.
Subject,
yeah.
Let's see. It's a little extra darkness right there. Maybe to separate the wing from the body some. And, we'll have our kneaded eraser we can use to make some adjustments. Right there, where I didn't mean to smear. Smudge.
I think that white charcoal pencil is really going to make some things pop.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a requirement after all.
Yeah, when you get to that. Because without it, your lightest value is the color of the paper.
Yeah, and we need that for just a few other places. We're going to
My
skip around
gosh.
tonight.
I got that stupid song in my head. I am so sorry, y'all.
I did it. It was me.
It was you.
Yeah.
You put it in there. You planted the seed. Now I'm going to have to listen to Bob Kelly all night long in my head.
And get a little bit more here. There are a few just tiny little notes of white in places that are too small to preserve early in the drawing. So we'll use probably our electric eraser to get back into those areas.
Okay. Well, we've got some help getting that song out of our heads.
All right.
Janine says, better than Baby Shark.
Okay.
So,
none of that.
Yeah. Well, too late now. Jan says, replace it with another song, which, Baby Shark has already done that for me.
Yeah.
And then goes on to say, it is just a whim away, a whim away. And Dale says, just listen to early Michael Jackson, Rockin' Robin. It will take the song's place for sure. And, for me growing up, it was always Monday, Monday by the Mamas and the Papas. Yeah. Oh, God.
Got all kinds of earworms now. Pick your favorite.
Putting a little texture in there by lifting up some of the material there.
Yeah, and a little bit of a gradation in that second set of feathers in the wings. They're a little darker there at their bottom. Yeah. And my stump's got plenty of material on it, so we're just going to keep using it just to fill in this space. So we'll go back and use our erasers. Some of these feathers have a very light, thin inner edge, so find those with an eraser too. Once we get values more settled.
So you're just now approaching the halfway mark. Still have a few more minutes until then. Well, a few more seconds.
Picked up a little bit of material in a really dark area. Going to paint with a little bit. These feathers below, or the tail feathers, I guess, are kind of transition from darker on the left, a bit lighter. And of course, the background helps those parts to stand out. Little light colored negative shape in there, so that can help with this area. It's difficult to tell what we're drawing around the feet, but that light shape helps, makes it feel descriptive.
Brent does art. Have we determined what type of hawk this is? Ashley said it's a Harris hawk.
Harris hawk was part of the file name. I'm going to trust that.
If there's some confusion on what a Harris's hawk is, it's formerly known as the bay-winged hawk. So maybe you would have known this particular hawk by that name, or perhaps the dusty hawk, and sometimes called the wolf hawk. So this particular hawk has clearly an identity crisis.
How's this formerly known business? Like,
I don't know.
like Prince?
Maybe it's changed its name.
Yeah.
From now on, I'll be called the Harris's hawk. No longer will you call me those other names.
Definitely having an identity crisis of sorts. Was one of the former names counted as offensive? Was it named after a person that was canceled? Can't be called. What would you say it was called before? Formerly known as?
Formerly known as the bay-winged hawk.
Oh, okay, that doesn't sound offensive.
The dusky hawk.
Yeah.
And sometimes the wolf hawk.
I like that.
Several people have said that it looks like an eagle. And
especially with this white or light head.
Yeah, and Dale says it looks like some of the eagles on some of the very early American coins.
Yeah, I can see that.
And Mary Elizabeth tells us that common names often change. But I'm sure the scientific name is the same, which I'm sure it's Latin.
Be sure. All right. There's some little dark patches in there.
And while I sit here, I find myself singing Baby Shark to myself. So thank you for that.
Trying to use some variable pressure to create a little bit of line quality there in those tethers. It's not too straight. All right, I think we need to adjust our shape a little bit.
It's okay, Janine. At least I'm not singing the other song I was singing. I don't know which is worse though. Ashley is now using the electric eraser to remove some of the conté, which is resulting in lighter values since the color of the paper is showing through. Also adding some hints of detail there.
I'm trying to do
because of the contrast.
A little bit of both.
They'll suggest fly like an eagle.
To the sea.
But it should be fly like a hawk. There's not many songs about hawks, is there?
I can't think of one right now.
I can't think of one either.
Maybe if the hawk was our national bird.
I think there was a band called Nighthawk. I'm not sure that was a song. Hawk the Herald Angels sing? Yeah, that doesn't work. That's about as close as I've got.
Maybe with a Boston accent.
I'm not even going to try that. Jan says that your electric eraser is suspiciously silent. I think it's not silent to me. I can hear it.
Matt can vouch.
But I think the mics are not going to pick it up. But it is making that sound. Yeah.
I think my battery may be getting a little lower. It feels like it sounds slow.
Yeah, Brent Does Art points out that there is a painting called Nighthawks. Yeah,
That's right. Oh, yeah.
That's a great painting.
It sure is.
And a couple of folks said that there's a band called Hawkwind.
All right, I'll check that out. I'll work up a little bit more detail in this wing than other places, just because it's where our light's hitting. All right, I have dropped 2 stumps, so now we're down to the thin stump. It's probably perfect for this small picture. I'm going to use a ruler and just keep my hand underneath it as a hand rest. It's a handy little trick sometimes. All right. There we are. And back to the stumps. Some of these parts are pretty tiny, so add a material and shape it a little bit.
Okay, Norlene points out The Eagle and the Hawk by John Denver. And Janine also said that.
That's interesting.
Yep, and so did Dale. Everyone knows they're John Denver.
And of course, we may have talked about this before. In a lot of movies, eagles screech is played by a hawk. The eagle sound, because eagles don't sound very tough. They just kind of squeak. Hawks, on the other hand, have that great, powerful screech. All right.
And then Dale says I'm assuming this is a song called Hudson Hawk. Or
no, that Hudson Hawk. What is that?
I'm not sure.
Is that a person?
Maybe.
Is that Ethan Hawke?
I could see that. No, there's an Ethan Hawke.
Oh, that's a person.
Hudson Hawk is a comedy/action movie from 1991.
Okay.
I didn't even know that. Starring Bruce Willis. Yeah, Lord Engine is telling us that it's a movie. Terry says Hudson Hawk is a car.
A car?
Yeah. I haven't heard of that one either. And Lord Engine says it's a movie about an art thief. So it sounds like a movie that we should watch.
I think I've seen it.
Have you?
Yeah, it's coming back to me. I had heard it before.
I like the contrast and the texture that's going on there.
That's kind of cool. The picture's going to be highly unified anyway, just because of our choice of medium. We'll add a little more variety when we put in the put in some white here in the end. It's important to get some of this background in for these last tail feathers that are so subtle and light.
All right. So, Enrique's asking, hi Matt, what are these lines below the hawk? I think you're talking about the little strands. Those are
leather tethers.
Yeah, they're tied to the talons. I think so they can tie the bird down, right? Keep it from flying away.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't practice falconry, but I would like to.
Wasn't there a Saturday Night Live skit called The Falconer or something like that?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think there was. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, there's a book called The Falconer, but there is also some Saturday Night Live skits. So if you want to completely immerse yourself in falcons, but that's a falcon, that's not a hawk. They're all confusing to me. Eagles, falcons, hawks.
There's not many falcons in North America. There's, I think, a couple maybe.
Is this hawkery?
So no, it would still be falconry.
It'd still be falconry, even though it's a hawk.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess. Man, I can't answer those questions.
I obviously can't either.
All right, just a little bit of indication that these are actually feathers back here, not just a blank or empty space. All right. Let's see, what do we have? Almost 9 minutes left to go. Where should we go? Well, I tell you,
there is a Hudson, referring to the car, there is the Hudson Hornet.
When was that car made?
A long time ago. In the movie Cars, I'm pretty sure that, the old sheriff, or what, was he the sheriff?
In the movie Cars.
Maybe he wasn't the sheriff. When Lightning McQueen tore up that road. It might have been Cars 2.
Oh, yeah.
In that old blue car. He was a Hudson Hornet.
Cars is such a good movie. I liked all of those.
Yeah, someone pointed out that there are falcons in America. They are called the Atlanta Falcons.
What are they like this year?
Well, I think they lost their first game, which is a positive, but no one is as bad as the Carolina Panthers, unfortunately. And Atlanta's basketball team is the Hawks. That is a great observation there. Someone has put in here.
Falcons and Hawks.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Got just a little bit of variability down here at the bottom of our wings. Or wangs. Hit some of those middle spaces there. All right. A little more contrast of our bird.
Are you still going to add the white charcoal?
Yes. I think so. Probably should add it soon enough that if we hate it, we can remove it.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to hate it. I think it's going to be great because it'll really make those middle values become middle values.
Yeah, and it'll add a little bit of a temperature change in here too. All right. You need to make sure the paper is clear wherever we are going to add those touches of white.
And then we all remember that Falcon from the year 2000. The Millennium Falcon.
From the year 2000.
That was a terrible joke. That was a terrible joke.
I still don't get it.
Because it's a new millennia.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry,
it's not
I'm slow
even
on the
it's not
uptake.
even a Falcon, it's a Falcon, whatever a Falcon is. Right?
A falcon.
In the Millennium it wasn't the
Isn't
Millennium
that just
Falcon.
Falcon with some sort of an accent?
Well, I don't know.
Falcon.
I don't know if it's Falcon. I can't even say it right, or Falcon. I don't know. Let's see, another thing for me to look up.
All right, let's see.
It is the Millennium Falcon, but they call it the Millennium Falcon. It sounds like, but it's totally Falcon. Yeah,
Yeah. Sounds cooler though.
it sounds cooler to make it sound like something that it's an animal that you haven't heard of really, but it's kind of close. You know, it flies.
Mm-hmm. All right. looking
And
for
Deborah
some
says-
subtle value changes in here.
Deborah says an Idaho state bird is the falcon.
Oh, how about that?
Mm-hmm. And Lord Engine says there are falcons all over the California Bay Area.
Okay. I just don't think we've got them in our neck of the woods. Right. Put some touches of white in a few places here. Some of this
Yeah,
raw paper needs
I
to
like
remain.
that. I feel like that makes the middle values be middle values.
Helps them make sense.
Mm-hmm. We got some more detail and definition in the head. Jen says, Matt, did you list supplies for tonight's lesson somewhere? I just listed the materials that are going to be used in the description of the video. Still 2 more minutes left, and the drawing is looking almost
All right,
complete.
well, we will use those minutes. Sure. And darker in there. It's every bit of our time tonight.
Already people are saying. Patricia says, beautiful job, Ashley.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Dale says, looks great. He says, though, I think I might have left off the leathers. Although I kind of like that. I think it balances things out a little bit, compositionally.
That's true. Otherwise, it might be a little heavy there. So,
Jan says, amazing drawing, Ashley.
This one's been fun. Can't believe I haven't used a crayon in so long. I have to start using it in my sketchbook. Matt suggested. And I do have a sketchbook. So most of my drawings are on loose paper, but I've been working a little bit more lately in a sketchbook. Mm. 19 seconds. Dun, dun, dun. Clock ticking. All right. Time's up. Is it?
The time is up. Well, that's just what the timer says. We're really the ones that say when time is up.
What time is it? Oh, it is 7:27. We are getting later in the show. All right. And
there's still a little cushion. You can still do some stuff to it if you want.
Let's just take
a little cushion.
Take a little look. Maybe we'll add just a little bit, a little darker down. Can't forget it's a whole piece of paper, right?
He says, great work. The white highlights and dark background really make it work.
Yeah, in the old master sketchbooks, they always seem to have just little tiny bits of white in there, very subtle hints because they were working on paper that wasn't bleached out like what we have. And I want to try to create that that old world feel.
Orlean says, this looks wonderful, Ashley. And Lord Engine says, time is on your side. Yes, it is. Deborah Clark says, great job.
Love the Rolling Stones.
And Orion Nebula says, start of the live lesson is the real cutoff of time wise. Is the real cutoff time wise? Actually, no, because if we stopped right when we were getting ready to go live, it would be for the live lesson, it would be a disaster because we have to switch and move around, and materials need to be tossed to the side with new materials coming in.
Yeah, I'm in what's about to become Matt's space.
Right. As soon as we get off the air here, we start moving stuff, especially when the setup is where I am doing the drawing for the live lesson and Ashley's doing the Getting Sketchy drawing. So it takes us about 15 minutes. So the real cutoff is really 7:45. And then that's pushing it.
Gosh, I would like to soften this edge up here a little bit, making a transition into our wing. And I mentioned before, it's a little stickier than pastel.
It's a little more difficult to erase. It smears a little bit more. Is that my eraser you're smelling?
I think it's mine. I think mine needed eraser. It's not looking great.
No, it's
look at that.
What is happening there?
It's behaving weird, and it smells like an old sock. I noticed something.
Do you think that's the conté on there that's making it behave that way?
No, I think it's been sealed up in a container, like a plastic container. There must have been some moisture in the eraser or something, because it stinks.
Norlane, tonight we're starting a new series with Norlane is asking, what is the live lesson tonight?
It was just too hard and too sharp right there, so that's better.
And the next series we're starting tonight is line and wash. So we're going to be working with pen and ink and watercolor. And tonight's the first lesson of the series. So we're going to be talking about the materials, and we're going to start on the drawing part of the process.
All right. I quit. We're done.
All right, very good. Very good.
All right, that was a lot of fun. Drawing is 8.5 inches, and the material and the side of paper that I ended up using, I kind of wish it was about 12 inches, maybe 50% larger, or have maybe used the other side of the paper. But I think overall, I'm pretty happy with how it came out in the time, and the side of the paper that I inadvertently used. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it was a happy accident. Tape it down upside down. All right, that's it.
All right. Well, very good.
Stop touching it.
In more positive comments, the Hulk looks great.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate
Looks
those comments.
great.
And this is my last drawing of the season, so Matt has one more, and then we'll break these out again and critique them for you guys. That's always, I think that's always a great episode. At least if you guys don't learn anything, I usually do.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and switch over and say good night to everybody.
All right, sounds good.
All right, guys, that's it. I hope you guys had a wonderful time tonight. I certainly enjoyed watching the Hawk come to life and all the discussion about falcons, hawks, and what was the other bird I'm getting confused with? We got falcons, hawks, and eagles.
Eagles,
yeah. So
all the big hitters.
all the ones that have dangerous looking beaks and talons.
Yeah.
Now there actually was some type of bird, and I think it was a hawk that was trying to eat my smallest dog when it was real tiny.
Yeah, for sure.
And I got some good footage of that hawk in a tree, and then did my own little segment where I was making a nature video, and I voiced over it with a British accent. I'll have to find it and show it to you at some point. It just
I'd
had a
love
little
to
bit of
see
fun
that.
with that video. With that
Wild Kingdom style.
Right. Anyway, the drawing turned out fantastic, I think. Next week, like Ashley said, I will be doing the final drawing of the season. So tonight was episode 9. Next week, I'll be doing the final drawing. And I'm not totally convinced, but I do think it's going to have something to do with ink next week. So
Okay.
maybe some pen and ink, and maybe a little bit of color in there too. So we'll see. I don't have the subject picked out yet, but I do have something kind of in my mind here. So anyway, we'll do that next Wednesday night for the final drawing episode of Getting Sketchy. But don't forget, we have one more episode after that where we will critique the artworks that we created this season. And that is a very valuable episode to watch. I know it doesn't sound as exciting because we're not creating a drawing, but when we go through the process of analyzing the artworks that we've created, there's a lot of things that you can pick up and learn from and apply to your own artwork. So if you want your artwork to be better, don't miss that final episode of the season. Then after that, we'll take a break, and then we'll come back and go on with the next season of Getting Sketchy. Ashley, do you have anything else for everybody?
In the comments, Dale said take off the tape, and Dale, I've started taking off the tape, but the paper is so much the same color, it really looks the same. It's almost the same.
Yeah, probably not a lot of contrast there.
Yeah.
All right, for those of you who are going to be joining us over for the new live lesson series that we're starting, we'll see you guys there. We'll see you guys in the chat box. So I'm excited to start this next series, and hopefully some of you guys in the chat box tonight with Getting Sketchy will be joining us for the live lesson. If you're not a member, you can become a member and you can join us tonight in just a few minutes. In fact, it's 26 minutes away when we go live for members. So like this video, subscribe to the channel, do all that fun stuff. And guys, I hope you have a wonderful week. We're going to sign out for this evening. Good night, everybody.